What color is that?
Blue.
And what color is this one?
Green.
Green, good job. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video. Today we are on February's birth month flower, violets. So we're gonna do a watercolor painting as well as an ink drawing. So let's do it. Okay, so to start, I'm just gonna go through my materials. I have my Arches cold press watercolor paper. I have my Winsor Newton Cotman watercolors, my Princeton snap brushes in a size 6 and a size 12, and my water and my paper towel, and we're ready to go. Okay, so we are painting violets today, and we're gonna do looser violets. So don't feel like it has to be realistic looking. You just kind of want to get the basic shape and color. So violets are obviously shades of purple. So I'm gonna be using mauve, which is a really beautiful purple, dioxazine purple, which is a nice dark purple. And then I'm gonna also be using some turquoise to mix. Okay, so I'm just gonna mix this all together. You don't have to mix all three, but I'm just gonna get a base purple that I wanna use first. This is kind of nice, like a lilac-y lavender color, okay? And violets have 5 petals. So we're just going to roughly paint 1, 2, oops, be rough with it. It doesn't have to be perfect. You can even do a lighter wash of this. And then you're gonna have 1 coming down the middle, and then 2 on either side of that, okay? Okay. So that is the basic shape of the violet. Now I'm just gonna take some, maybe I'll take a bit more blue, mix it in there, and I'm just gonna, you know, drop some color wherever. Then I'm gonna take some dioxazine purple, which is our darker purple. And you also wanna leave a little bit of white space in the middle, just FYI. Okay, and I'm going to get the tips of these petals with this dark purple and the inner part of the petals too, like that, okay? So I don't even know if I really like that blue, to be honest, there, so I might just take some mauve and go over some of that blue. I don't know if you can hear, but my dog's crying in the background because he just wants to sit outside and be covered in snow, even though he's already done that for like a good hour this morning. But he needs to just sit and relax. Okay, so there you go. Now I'm washing off my brush, and I'm gonna grab a little bit of yellow, cadmium yellow, and it's very important. We're gonna do a color bleed. Try not to have a lot of water on your brush and a lot of color. If you tap it onto your paper towel, it should only create a small puddle. If it goes everywhere, that means you had a lot, okay? Because we're gonna be doing a color bleed, but you don't want it to take over the flower. So you're just gonna tap it in this white area and have it bleed out just a bit. But if you keep tapping, 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 it's gonna mix with the purple and turn a bit brown, okay? So just keep it to a couple taps and leave it, okay? And there's your flower. So we're gonna do another, oh, that was my dog. We're gonna do another one, kind of like a sideways facing one. And I think I'm gonna eliminate the blue and maybe do a bit more of a lighter wash of this. Okay, so I'm gonna start with the 2 petals up here, and they're gonna be a bit closer together. This is gonna be more of a side view, okay? And then this, gonna have 1 coming down, and they're not really in any kind of specific shape. You don't want them to be perfectly round. Okay, and then you got 2 coming from the side. Because you're seeing more of this side, you're gonna have it come out a bit bigger. And then you're only gonna be seeing a little bit of this petal because it's mostly behind that one. Okay, and you try to leave white space in the middle again, but also leave little bits of white in between the petals. Not a lot, like this petal and this petal are touching, same here, but there is that little bit of white space that will create some separation between petals, okay? I might even have this one bleed into that one, because why not? Okay, now I'm going to go back in with my colors. I'm going to grab some mauve, and I'm going to use this mostly towards the middle. Okay, and then I'm going to grab my dioxazine purple. Again, I'm going to go around the tips. And this one's a lot lighter than the other one, but I kind of like the contrast. And I'm just going to go around the tips at the bottom here. And maybe with the tip of my brush, do some lines coming down. Just going around those petals. Now I think it's a little too light there, and I think I actually do like the blue on this. So you kind of just have to go and feel it out and see how it looks. Because this is my first time doing this, so I don't know what I like. So I'm going to take some of that bluish turquoise, because I do like the way it looked there. I'm going to add some of that to the middle too. Okay. And then I'm going to go back in with some of my dioxazine purple, really darken up some of those edges. And in the middle, but not too close, because you still want that yellow bleed, which we do last. Okay, so that looks good. Again, I'm going to take my yellow, and I don't know if you could see that in frame, but when I washed off my brush, I then dried it here, because I'm going to pick up some yellow, but I don't want my brush sopping wet to do that bleed in the middle. I want a little bit of water, but not a lot. Again, if you need to, test it. And just tap, 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 and let it bleed. Okay, because see, it bleeds a lot further than you think it does at the beginning, so you don't need to do a whole lot. Okay? Okay, so now we are going to do the stems. I'm going to grab my size 6 brush for this, and I'm going to mix up some greens. I have some sap green here, which I love using. I'm just going to throw some of it onto my palette. And then I also have some Hooker's Green Dark. Just to get 2 different types of greens. And I might even grab some dioxazine purple to make it a bit darker. Darken that one up a bit too. Okay. Okay, so now I'm just going to come from behind here. And this one's dry, so you're not going to get a color bleed. You can if you want, but for this one I kind of prefer not to. And then this one I'm going to have the stem come out from this way. And I might actually do a little bit of a color bleed. Just taking up some of that color because it went a little further than I wanted it to. It's a lot of water. That's okay. Okay. And then we're going to be doing the, actually I'm just going to add a bit of darker green in some parts. Then we're going to be doing the leaves. Okay. So I'm just going to grab my big brush again, and I'm just going to mix all this together. Put a bit more sap green in there. And I'm just going to draw, they have really big fat leaves for this. And then a small little stem connecting to that big stem. Okay, so you're just using light pressure, heavy pressure, light pressure to get that shape. Like that. Okay, and then if it's too light, like mine is pretty light, you can always, add more color in there. I'm going to add some sap green to the top portion of each of them, and then my mixture of Hooker's Green Dark and dioxazine purple to get a nice dark green And I'm just gonna bring it underneath and hit those stems with it. Like that. Okay, and there we go. And now we just have to wait for the flowers to dry because we're gonna do a couple little lines on the flowers just for a bit of detail. So once this dries, we will come back and do that part. Okay, so now that it's dry, I'm gonna take my size 6 brush and I am just going to mix it in that purple, and I'm just gonna take the tip of the brush with very, very little pressure, and I'm just going to do a couple lines on each petal like that. Okay. So you're not using a lot of paint or really dark paint. It's just a very subtle thing you can add to those petals. Okay. I need a bit more. And have the curves of those lines go with the curve of the petal. So curves on this side of the petal will go this way, and curves on this side of the petal will go this way. Okay. I usually have like a longer one in the middle, longer little line, and then shorter ones on the sides. I feel like that was a little too dark there. Just mopping it up. There we go. Okay. And if you feel like they're fading, you could always do it a little bit darker. It's totally up to you how you want this to look. And you can even do a couple lines towards the top. And when we do the illustration portion of this, you're going to be doing the same thing with the pens. Okay. And then I'm going to take some yellow ochre, which is just a bit of a darker yellow. And I'm just going to do a little teardrop shape in the middle for that center, like that. And then if you really want to get into a bit more detail, I said they were loose, but I feel like I'm going a bit less on the loose route, which is fine. I'm going to take some of this green and I can just add a bit of shadow. And because we're painting on a dry layer, you're going to get sharper lines, okay? It's not going to bleed. And if you really want, you can do some lines on your leaves too. Like that. Maybe go over one of the stems where they cross, so it's a bit sharper to see which one is actually in front and behind, like that. Might even go in with a bit darker, like that. And there you go. There are your watercolor violets for February's birth month flower. Okay, so now we're gonna do the ink drawing. I'm gonna take my size 03 pen, and it just says it on the cap there. And we're gonna be doing the same kind of thing, okay? But just with a pen. So you're gonna start off with those two petals at the top. So it's kind of like upside down teardrops, but you know, a little bit more square on one side. Don't worry too much about the shape. It just has to be thicker at the top and then thinner towards the bottom. Okay, and then you're gonna do that little middle part, which is kind of like a teardrop shape. Okay, and then we're gonna do the bottom petal and then the side petals, which are a bit thinner. And they're just gonna come behind there. Okay, and then I'm gonna do another one over here, just facing a different direction. So actually, let's start with that teardrop shape in the middle right there, and then have those petals coming up. And then this one will be kind of like behind it. Have that one coming down. Beside it, you only see a little bit of it. And then like that, okay? And you can always do this in pencil first. It might be a good idea, but it's a little too late for me. Okay, so now we are going to do the stems. So I'm just gonna have a stem coming down this way. You can curve the stem. These are really actually like tiny little delicate flowers. They're really beautiful. I'm gonna have this one come this way. That. Okay. And then I'm just going to do the shape of the leaves. So we're going to have some curving, okay? So I'm just going to do a curve and then bring it right in here and then have the other side of that leaf showing just a bit. Okay, and you'll see what it looks like a bit more once we have the shading. Okay, and I'm going to do something similar over here. Do a thin little stem. I'm going to do my leaf shape. And then I'm just going to have a curve like that. So it's like it's folding, okay? Okay, so now we're done with the outline. Simple, simple. And now we are going to shade, which is going to bring it to life. Okay, so like this, we are going to darken the parts where there would be a shadow, okay? So when a petal is behind another petal, you're gonna do where they join a bit darker, just by doing some lines. You can darken up that. So this petal and this petal are meeting. I'm darkening up the line here, and then I'm just gonna do small little lines like that coming from it. Okay, and then like that, and it just adds a bit of shadow. Same thing on this side. Just darkening it up. Like that. And then behind this middle part, that. Okay. And then you can even do some of those lines like that. Might even add a bit there, like that. Okay. And then same thing on these top ones, making it a bit darker where it meets the other petals. That. And then the top. Okay. And if you want, you can darken the center too, just by, you know, doing some lines in there like that. Okay. Now this one is behind this flower, so we're going to darken up this petal a lot more than these ones were. So I'm going to start by just darkening up the center where it connects. And then the line here where it is behind the other petal, I'm just going to darken that up and then do more lines from there. Okay. Doing a bit more shading on this one too, because it's behind that petal. Okay. And again, curve those lines with the curve of the petal. So you can see the outside curves this way, the lines are also going to curve that way. Making this line a bit thicker because it's behind that other petal. I'm going to darken up this center. And probably the least one on this one because that would be the closest to getting some sunlight. Okay, now for the stems, we are just going to darken them up a bit, not too much. This one's behind, so I'm darkening it up a bit more, like that, and then maybe at the base a little. Like this. I'm going to darken it up over here. And then I'm going to do some of those lines, the veins on the leaves. And then I'm just going to do shorter and shorter like that. Maybe darken up that middle one and then have lines coming down that are shorter and shorter like that. And then we can darken up this part because this would be a shadow. And just do a few lines at the top there. We don't need to shade it too much. Okay, I'm going to shade. First, I'm going to do those veins in the leaf. Okay, and then I'm just going to do a couple lines coming from those really light just to add like it's a shadow. And then here, where this part is folded in the leaf, I'm just going to darken up this line. And then we're going to have the shadow on the inside here. Okay, and then a bit down here. And then have that vein on this side. Okay. And there you go. That's a bit more shading intense than our last one, but it's kind of similar, and there you go. So there are two ways you can create violets with watercolor and with ink drawings for your February birth month flower, the violet.
Thank you all so much for watching my video. I really hope you liked it and I hope you learned something. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and click that little bell icon so you can get notified of every new video I put out. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram and Facebook for more. Have a great day, guys. Bye. What color is this?
Blue.
And what color is this one?
Red.
No, what color is this one?
Blue.
No, what color is this one?
Blue.
Blue. This one is?
Red.
That's not red, it's green.
Green.
Green.